yesterday, we were talking a little bit about the LSU football search. Is it looks like there's a couple of names that are starting to pop on the coaching trail, as far as guys that are starting to stand out for Coach Brian Kelly. And one of those is somebody that we have talked about for a while, and it really does look like that the Cincinnati offensive coordinator has really been in the crosshairs for Brian Kelly from the start. Mike Denbrock, who has been at Cincinnati for the last 5 seasons. Obviously, the Bearcats are in the Final Four playing Alabama. Their offense sits atop of a lot of the heavyweight of offensive categories. Ritter, the quarterback, has really kind of been the guy that stabilized that thing all season long. Denbrock's got past working with Brian Kelly. They've worked together both at Notre Dame and Grand Prairie Valley State. But their relationship didn't end well in Notre Dame.
That's the concerning part, right? Because like I said, I don't want to say I've been on the wrong side of these things, but I have been a little bit on the more cautious side of Brian Kelly in the timeline, because I feel like it's been a bit odd. It feels like there's been some swings and misses on this side, but it feels like he goes to the well again. He wanted Tommy Rees, right? That was the first. In a perfect world, he gets Marcus Freeman and Tommy Rees, and it's a flawless transition over to LSU. He's able to get neither, so he goes back to people that he trusts. But it feels like it's a little bit different than what it was when Coach O would go to the people that he trusts, right? Because isn't that something that kind of concerns you, like the good old boys network? This feels the same way, but in Brian Kelly's vein, to where, okay, I have to learn how to trust this guy, because it's not LSU that you're doing this where you're going to,
well, hey, a better track record.
Right, exactly. Because I can go, but he's doing the same thing, right? He's asking people that he trusts on who to hire next, because he wasn't able to get his defensive coordinator, and it feels like he's asking them on who he should get after that. And so I feel like it's okay with Brian Kelly, though, but I am a little spurned by what has happened in the past with these kind of, okay, that wasn't the guy, okay, now here's the guy.
I'm not necessarily off of that. Like, I'm okay with some guys deciding that they don't want to take, like Tommy Rees.
They get a deal of a lifetime.
Well, yeah, but Tommy Rees also, he had an interview with Russillo, and he said that he didn't think he was 100% ready for that position yet, which is unbelievable self-awareness on his part, and great for us if a guy that didn't think he was ready didn't take that job when he wasn't ready, and then kind of just crash and burn in front of everybody, and that would not be good for Brian Kelly, for the fans, for the players, for everybody, right? So for me, if Denbrock and Kelly had a falling out or had a bad breakup, and he's interested and wants to come, to me there's something else behind the scenes with them that maybe it wasn't as bad as we think it was, or maybe because he's not going to come here if he doesn't like Brian Kelly. Like, he's not going to work with a guy.
No, it's the opportunity of a lifetime for him.
Yeah.
Well, would you take the job if you're offered it? But the falling out is a bit concerning, that he's going back to the well again, right? That's all I'm saying.
Well, I don't know if he's gone back to the well on the offensive coordinator. I really do believe that there is somebody that's been in place. The plan has been sold. I mean, we talked to a couple of offensive recruits. We talked to a couple of offensive recruits' parents, and a lot of what they heard from Kelly, they were very much relieved a couple of weeks back. Like, I don't think that there was ever a point where there was panic setting in within the recruiting base, within the recruits and the parents, on what Kelly was selling and showing the future to look like for LSU football. So I think Denbrock's been in place ever since he found out that Rees was staying in Notre Dame.
Well, I think that's why I got one too.
Yeah, heads up, buddy.
I think that's why he hasn't announced, because I think that the guys he's talking to are still playing either, and I said this, I think they're either in the NFL or in college. Obviously, offensive coordinators in college, and now we talk about the defensive coordinator who is in the NFL right now, right? The guy he thinks that he's going to have as a defensive coordinator is still coaching. And so for me, not having a guy in place, all that was telling me was it wasn't that he was not prepared or people were turning him down. That, to me, that just meant that, hey, these guys still have a job to do, and we just have to be patient and wait on them.
So Mike Denbrock seems to be the trending name on the offensive side of the ball, and then Football Scoop was reporting last night. Football Scoop also reported that Kelly reached out to Todd Monken, who calls the plays for Georgia, throughout this process to see what his what his determination may be, or if he was interested, what his interest level was in the job. But it does look like Mike Denbrock is the guy on the offensive side.
That's what I'm saying. Neither of which are the splashiest names of all time. That's all I'm saying. You're putting a lot of that.
Well,
we keep doing this with putting a lot of faith in what Brian Kelly is doing, and I'm not hopping off the bandwagon. I'm just saying these names are not the splashy names
Denbrock's
that you're
better.
used to.
I like Denbrock better than I like
Monken.
But Monken, why would he leave Georgia to come to LSU?
It's a good question. It's fair.
You know?
I mean,
Yeah, you gotta ask,
like he's potentially playing in the
But
national
even that
championship.
name wouldn't that doesn't move the needle for an LSU fan. I would imagine when you look at Georgia's offense and
Yeah,
you
but
see what they've done.
what would move the needle is my question. Like, what offensive coordinator
I mean,
would
would
you
Tommy
say?
Reese would have moved the needle
Yeah,
for you?
you know what I mean?
No, I don't. No, but it feels like that would have been Brian Kelly's first hire. If
Yeah,
he could
but-
get Tommy Reese, he
right.
would have Tommy Reese, and he didn't.
But
So now
what
you
would
start
move the
going
needle,
down the
you think?
list. That's all I'm saying.
I know, but what would move the needle? Like, who? Let's say everybody else, all offensive coordinators were
Tom
Lane-
Herman?
No, that would have just been a Tiger Droplets
right.
fiasco. But Lane Kiffin's OC. I would love to have seen him get
Libby?
a call. Yes.
But he's going to, didn't he leave?
Yeah, he's going to his alma mater. He's going to Oklahoma.
He's going to Oklahoma.
Yeah, but to be an offensive coordinator, correct?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like those type of guys that you can kind of take a swing at and see that have a splash offense, because that's what LSU is not rooted in.
Yeah, but Kelly, sorry, I don't mean to cut you
No,
off.
go.
But Kelly's offense, it's Kelly's offense. So he wants a guy that he's familiar with, that understands what Kelly wants to get, wants to put in and incorporate, and the core principles of the offense. And he wants a guy. He's not going to pull the strings, but he wants to have his input.
Anybody watch the Colts play over the weekend? Yep. I think Jonathan Taylor's probably the MVP of the league right now. I think that's how Brian Kelly wants to beat you. I think that's the offensive style that he wants his team's identity to have, is the ability to run the ball and choke you out. I don't think that this is going to be some new age spread type offense that LSU's been trying to incorporate, trying to sell, trying to identify themselves as on the offensive side of the ball. I think it's going to be a mixture between a little bit of old school and a little bit of new age, where
pro style.
You've got, it's going to be pro style. It'll be pro style football, where you've got offensive linemen that you see now starting to come into the system and come into the program, that really the identity of the offense is going to be built around. I really believe that. And I think that when you're looking for names and you're waiting on splashes and you're waiting on big names to happen, Brian Kelly's not the guy to make that stuff go on. I mean, he's not
ham and mayonnaise.
He is not going to be the guy that comes in here and tries to make
wheel.
pizzazz. You know what I mean? Like, he's coming in here to be very methodical, to be very strategic. He's not going to really veer off course of what he's trying to build. And I think what he's trying to build is consistency, depth, stability, and all of that. If you just look at his track record, if you look at his past, I mean, it's all built around kind of ball control, being able to run the football, offensive line play.
But don't get confused with that being a boring offense either.
Yeah.
Like, that can be an exciting offense. You don't have to have 5 wide to be an exciting offense. You can have an exciting offense by doing what he's trying to do. That's what NFL teams do all the time. That's what teams that have the guys up front, the running backs and the receivers, that's what they can do. And it's not going to go back to the Les Miles days where you're having 2 receiver routes and you have 1 read and you hand them like that. We're not going to that. You're going to have every quarterback that we have is going to be able to go under center. They're going to be able to play action. They're going to be able to run the football. They're going to be able to go out the shotgun. They're going to be able to scan the defense. They're going to be able to read coverages. That's what we're going to be able to do, and that is what wins football games. It's the spread offense and the high power deal, like, that's all fun. That's great. And we had a great time with that in 2019. Teams are winning with that. But Georgia showed you that they can win the other way. I think ours is going to be a little bit more of our offense is going to be better than that. But that's the style of, like, hey, we're going to play run it down your throat. We're going to be able to push you off the ball. And we're going to be able to make the throws that we need to. And look, if we need to throw for 300 yards a game, we can do that too if we have to.
Yeah, very much so. And I don't think by any means is this going to be Les Miles' offense.
No, but that is the concern, right?
That's why
people will hop to pro style. They're going to get under center again. People get PTSD from that kind of thing. ReliefMan.com.
Robert Miller, Jordy, in college, who is winning with the style that you were saying that he wants to run?
Georgia.
Georgia.
But that is also the litmus test, right? If they you saw what happened against Alabama when you don't have the ability to be able to absolutely wing it around the field. If you get in a track meet,
hang on.
Yeah.
Let's George is the model, but LSU's got quarterbacks.
No doubt. That's the difference.
That's what you're hoping.
If you have a quarterback, you can run a system where if you got an offensive line play, you can count on them when the time is right, but you also have the confidence to put it on his right arm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Especially when you got Jack Besh, Malik Neighbors, and Brian Thomas running the routes, Keyshawn Butte running routes for you, potentially. And you've got the number one quarterback in the country,
potentially,
making those throws. So, I mean, it's not Stetson Bennett.
No, but what he is doing, Brian Kelly is definitely putting his thumbprint already all over what he wants this football team to look like. Whether you look at the offensive line recruits and who he brought in from the transfer portal, and he was able to do those things, he's building it from the top back. Like, this is not the go plug and play. And LSU has the weapons on the outside, like you said, albeit I don't know if they're there yet because they are young.
Yeah, but they're not going to be young next year. They'll be sophomores.
But it's a whole new system again. Like, they have to restart. It feels like the restart button. You're just kind of blowing on the Nintendo cartridge.
You build the team from the inside out.